So we have started recording. So Fatma, on YouTube, I mentioned that we have 40 plus. Let me see. So Community Watch, the Community Watch, she called herself Community Watch. She says, I want to know on how to improve my online business. Millie Ouma is saying, is the bank willing to cushion its customers during COVID-19? I think we are happy to report that we have Moses Gitao, Head of Business Banking, joining the session, and he will speak to that. Joseph Gisho joining from Eastleigh, Nairobi. Let me see if I have any other. Duncan joining from Ombuya joining from Kisii Town. Mali joining from Nungari. Judith Amiani joining from Nairobi. Beatrice joining from Chuka. Jackie Awino from Siaya. Mili from Nairobi. Anjay Kumar says he's joining from, I think, Nairobi. Caroline joining from Mongata, and Joab from Masinga. Over to you, Fatma. Oh, Sarah, if in case you're tracking WebEx chat box.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Haggai, and good morning to all of us. I'm looking at WebEx. I'm not seeing anything as yet. Over to you, Fatma.
Okay. Good morning, and asanteni once again for joining us. Let us encourage ourselves to engage in this webinar, because sometimes an idea from one person will actually help the other person. And the way we do this is through the chat box. So kindly use the chat the fullest, so that we are able to, all of us, we are able to manage and we are able to learn from each other. This is a very interesting time, and this is a time we need to show our commitment. Just like Co-opBank is showing its commitment to us, we also need to show commitment to our stakeholders and to our staff and our clients as well. And this is the webinar that we are going to do. I would not like to dilute. So in the meantime, let us use the chat box. Tell us where you're coming from. Tell us your expectations. And above all, we would like to know whether we have been communicating with our stakeholders, we have not been communicating with our stakeholders, and exactly what have we been telling the stakeholders during this pandemic. Haggai, I believe it is time, so is it okay for us to request Bwana Moses Gitau so that he can open the session for us?
Yes, indeed, we can start. Thanks, Fatma.
Thank you, Fatma. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning, karibuni sana. I think just before you begin, as a tradition for the bank, I would want us to have a brief prayer from Nancy Kipchirat. Nancy, are you there?
Yes, Moses.
A brief prayer, please.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning, all. Let's bow down for our word. Our Father who is in heaven, we come before you this morning. We want to thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for the gift of life. Thank you, Lord, even for our customers who have joined us for this webinar training. We give you glory that, Lord, you protected each one of them and their businesses wherever they are, oh God. We want to thank you, dear Heavenly Father, even for our partners, IFC, and the team that are facilitating this webinar session. We also speak a blessing upon them, oh dear Heavenly Father. We want to pray, Lord, even for our colleagues, oh Lord, and the team that are speaking in this session. We also want to pray a blessing upon them, oh dear Heavenly Father. We pray, Lord, even for the session that, Lord, you are going to give us the insights, oh dear God, that will go a long way in going through these challenging moments, oh dear Heavenly Father. We give you glory for your blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Nancy. Again, good morning, customers. I think I've seen a number signing from all over the country, and I've heard we have over 40 on YouTube. Thank you, Haggai and IFC team for also facilitating this. And I think as a bank is our commitment to our customers, specifically the MSME customers that are signed in and all the MSME customers of Cooperative Bank, that as a bank, we should be running these kind of forums, these webinars, just to help us in terms of exchanging, picking up ideas and learning from each other. I think it's very key. And we've had three sessions now. This is the fourth one. And I think in all the sessions, I can see some names that have consistently attended the 4 seminars, meaning that I think it has been impactful. It should be benefiting it should be beneficial to our customers. Thank you for attending. Now, for the 4 sessions, we started with surviving to thrive. Today surviving today to thrive tomorrow. I think that was our first session. Our second session was on managing your finances, I think during crisis, which I think came out very well. And I saw very good feedback from our customers. And our third session was on adjusting your business plan during crisis. Today, we yet have another very exciting session on communicating with stakeholders during crisis. And I think it's very key for us now to know how then do we communicate. And as Fatima and Haggai put it earlier, I think it's important that we engage. We also would expect to learn also from our customers. How are you communicating with your stakeholders during this time? I think it will be very important for us to do that communication. We also have a very exciting session in after the training in terms of communicating with stakeholders. We have a very exciting session to share, and we have the bank economist, Mr. Anthony Muri. Mr. Anthony Muri will come in to tell us to unpack the recently unveiled budget for the country, and what he'll be telling us, what are the opportunities within the within that budget for the MSME customers. So for MSME customers, then I would request that you also you take notes, because there will be opportunities coming in that budget. Anthony Muri will be unpacking for us the figures, how the budget looks like, and what opportunities from where we sit as a bank, what are those opportunities that we see. Then later on, I'll be just at the closure of the session, I'll be talking about the support that you're offering. And with that, maybe it's just to say we have Anthony Muri from the bank joining us as the bank economist. So Anthony Muri is like who? Do we say the finance minister for the country, for the bank? That's the person to unpack the budget for us. We have Peter Ndumia, the head of financial services. Thank you, Peter, for organizing this. And we have Nancy Kipchirat, who have just paid, helping us in marketing and public relations. So over to you, Fatima, so that perhaps you can start and introduce the AFC team that is there.
Okay, asante sana Bwana Gitau for that welcome. And once again, karibuni wafanyi biashara. It is always a pleasure to be here na wafanyi biashara. My name is Fatma Elmawi. I am a master trainer with International Finance Corporation. And I'm also a business person. I'm an SME. I have been on this journey now for over 15 years. I've been training, and 11 of them has actually been with the IFC, helping wafanyi biashara kama nyinyi to elevate, to enhance, and to grow your business. Today, I'm joined with my colleagues, and I would like to give my appreciation to Stella. Stella Masinde is from IFC. I would also like to appreciate and acknowledge my colleague who took you through some of the webinars, Sarah Mbinji. I'll call upon her later to say hello. Sarah Mbinji is a certified trainer with IFC. She's also a certified instructional designer, which means that she is one of the team members that actually developed the materials that we are looking at. And then, of course, I have with me Bwana Haggai, and Haggai has already communicated with you. Haggai will help us with the system throughout to make sure that this webinar is smooth and we are able to communicate, we are able to engage. I would also like to advise that the webinar is being recorded. It will be shared later by Co-opBank, and as well as the materials that we are using today will also be shared. Kindly allow me now to call Sarah to say hello, and then Haggai to officially say hello. Sarah, over to you.
Thank you very much, Fatma, and good morning. Good morning to all our WebEx participants. Good morning to our YouTube channel followers. I can see we have people from India. We have somebody from India. We have somebody from Morocco. I just want to say good morning. Today, I'm not new to the Cooperative Bank family. And today, my role is to support Fatma from the back. Asante sana. Over to you, Fatma.
Haggai, now official good morning.
Morning to you all. Welcome to this webinar, and I hope you enjoy and interact as much as possible. We'll be tracking your chat box and reading them out. The people who joined through YouTube, you're well with us. We'll be tracking your feedback as we go along. Over to you, Fatma. I don't know whether it's useful to go represent.
You want to repeat this for the people that have just joined us quickly?
Okay, many thanks. So just some housekeeping issues to help everybody who have joined to enjoy the webinar. We note that people are joining from different parts of the country and even from outside. So to help each and every one of us to enjoy the webinar with very minimal interruptions, kindly we'll request you to turn off your camera. You can see the red icon at the bottom left, written "Turn Camera Off." Kindly click that. I'm happy that all of us, our cameras are switched off. Please also do the same with your mic. We'll try and as much as possible to use the chat room to share feedback, share thoughts. If you're struggling, please just send me a note or through the chat box, and we'll be able to sort you out. To access the chat room or the chat box, you see the red icon highlighted in red at the bottom right. Open the chat. I'm wishing you all the best. Over to you, Fatma.
Okay, asante sana, Haggai, and I would like to reiterate once again, just like you, IFC and the Cooperative Bank and ourselves, we actually want to make sure that your business not only survives but thrives. It should become profitable, and if not profitable, at least operational as we work together through this pandemic. So basically, we are together in this. And as Bwana Moses advised us, this is a part of a series of webinars, some of which have already been conducted. And during this period of pandemic, one of the most important things that you can do for your business, especially in a crisis, is actually to communicate. We need to communicate with everyone who is connected to your business. That is all the stakeholders. And why do we need to do this? We need to do this because your stakeholders need to understand that you are taking the right steps in order to protect them. You are taking the right steps in order to ensure that your business is still running. And of course, you are also a valued member of the community. So what is happening is that people get frustrated, people get confused, the rumor mill becomes, it works overtime, and the best way to protect your organization's reputation is for you to communicate with everybody and telling them what it is that is happening. So this webinar is to help you think through how do you communicate to the different stakeholders and how do you communicate with them effectively. It is not about adjusting your business plan. It's not about accessing finance. Iyo tumefanya. Now that you have done all that, how do you communicate to the various stakeholders that you have so that they know that what you're doing about your business and they know this is what is going to happen. Because as we will see later, each one of them has a different concern from you. So let's see. As you know, with the COVID pandemic, I mean, I keep on saying that it just came to us. It did not even give us notice. It is no longer a question of when. When is COVID going to come? No. Now it is a question of what am I going to do? We have seen that COVID is now moving from community. We have seen what's happening in Kibera. We have seen what's happening in the other counties of our country. So it is about, what can I do? What next? The situation, to be honest, is scary because it has affected our physical well-being. It has also affected our economic well-being, and it has also affected our emotional well-being. So let's be honest, we are concerned. Our brains are flooded with concerns. Let me ask, what is of concern to you? What goes to your mind? Kindly put it in the chat box. What are you concerned with at this point in time? Please put it in the chat box. Okay, great. Haggai, what do you have from the YouTube?
Fatma, let Sarah go first.
Okay, Sarah, what do you have?
Many, many thanks, Fatma, and not yet. I think they're still putting their thoughts together. Thank you.
Okay, great. Haggai, do you have anything or can I continue?
Please proceed.
Okay, now, what goes to people's minds, and I can actually take from my own business. It is about, how do I protect my employees? There's no money coming in. How do I pay my employees? Will customers come with cessation of movement? How am I able to still sell? How will my business continue operating with all these social distancing requirements? How will I manage with my cash flows? So all these are questions that are actually coming to mind, and they're valid. I mean, they're valid. It's not like I'm trying to be paranoid, but these are the questions that come to our minds, and these are the questions that we need to think through. Now, ladies and gentlemen, uncertainty is the root of economic disaster. As much as I am worried, so are my stakeholders worried as well. And the best way is, I need to reduce that uncertainty. I need to tell my bank, I need to tell my customers, I need to tell my employees what is going on. And the best way to do that is the ability to actually communicate with all of them and tell them what is going on. So in this webinar, what we are going to discuss is, number one, before I communicate, is to identify my stakeholders' concerns during this era, during this time. What is it that worries them? And then number two, once I've identified, it's actually creating effective communications so that they know what it is that is going on and what are the steps that as an organization, as an SME, I am taking. And then the third one is about using appropriate communication channels. How am I going to communicate with them, and what is it that I am going to tell them? So by the end of the webinar, you will be able to determine concerns of your key stakeholders, create effective written communication to address their concerns, and of course, identify the right communication channels that will reach your stakeholders. The webinar helps you to calm stakeholders' concerns during this time of crisis. And you also want to keep your company top of the mind in this era. What you want to do is you want to tell people, I am here with you. We are together. In fact, it is also what Co-op Bank is doing. Co-op Bank is telling you, Sitakuacha peke yako, we are together. And why are they doing this? Because we also want to say post-pandemic, I am there with you. I was there when kulikuwa na mashida. It also shows your professionalism to possible lenders, because in case you need a bridge loan, or you need forbearance and current loans, or you need any other assistance from financial institutions, we need, as stakeholders, we need to show our professionalism so that we can reassure them that our businesses are worth taking that risk on, so that we can reassure them that we are professional about the way we are handling the pandemic. And also we want to demonstrate your company's commitment to being a valuable member to the community. Because remember, post-COVID, we will have to come back to the stakeholders. So you don't want to disappear now and then just reappear when things are okay, because people will wonder, where were you? Saile kulikuwa na makashida. So let's look at our group norms and let's participate through the chat box. Tell us what is there, and then let's respect each other. I may not really agree with what somebody says. Maybe it may not be relevant to me right now, but let's listen. It may be relevant later. And if it's not relevant at all, achana nawe. But let's respect what other people are saying. And then, of course, allow me to repeat once again, because I know this is what Haggai has been saying. Let us mute our microphones so that the quality of the webinar is better for all of us. So let's now identify the stakeholders' concerns during this time. In fact, we have coined it life in the new normal. Now, who are your stakeholders? In the middle, that is you, that's the company, that's the SME, okay? Your stakeholders could be the people that have invested money in you. Pengine ulianzisha biashara peke yako, but you also have other people that have put in money. What is top of their mind is that, will I lose my investment? Okay? Lenders, will I lose my money, or will the company be able to pay back? Will the business be running? And this is what the management is concerned with. How do I manage it? How do I still run with all the issues that are there? How will my company still remain afloat and still run? On the other hand, employees are also worried. They are a big stakeholder. And for them, will I be paid? Am I safe? Is my job safe? What is going to happen? Because they know that the inflows, the revenue may not be as great as it used to be. The customers will be worried about, am I able to get what I need? Okay. On the other hand, the suppliers, will they be paid? Will my business be safe? Because remember, as much as you have customers, you are somebody else's customer. And they are also worried whether you will be able to buy from them. We have seen the regulatory authorities, we have seen Kina KRA, and they're wondering, how do we minimize? And also the government coming in and the government saying, okay, we have reduced VAT, we are going to reduce this, we are going to reduce that. Why? Because all of them want you, mfanyi biashara, to continue working, to continue growing. The community is also concerned because you are valuable. As long as your business is in operation, it means that you are an employer. If you are not able to operate, then of course you are not able to, you will not be able to employ. And then of course it brings other issues. So all these people are stakeholders, and each one of them is actually worried about you. They are concerned about how your business is actually going to survive. And we are not looking at just surviving, because I know Sarah took us through how do we access financing, how do we thrive post-COVID. So let's look at some of the effective communication that we are going to use during this webinar. We sometimes feel that we know that what we are going to say, and you are right. You probably know what you're going to say, but let's look at a structured way and a structured system of how we are going to communicate. It is always said that how you say something is as important as what you say. And this is even more crucial during this period of time, especially now where people get extremely, how do I say, we get nervous or we get concerned. No, I think the right word here is we get sensitive about how we communicate. Because the right message, if it is not communicated properly, it can actually lead to misinterpretation. So what we need is we want to communicate in a manner that it reassures, it makes people understand, but you communicate the right thing. It is not about kujifanya. It's not about changing the message. It is about giving the right message, but giving that message in a way that it is understood, in a way that touches the matters that are of concern to your stakeholders. Over and above that, it is also about saying the right thing. So what we need to do is we want to look at how do we create these effective messages? How do we tell them what it is that is going on? And let me ask, have we communicated to our stakeholders? Kindly put it in the chat box. If yes or no. If it's a yes, what did you tell your stakeholders? Please, let's use the chat box. Have we communicated to our stakeholders already? Yes or no? And if we have, that is, if we have a yes, what have we communicated? What did we tell them? Kindly put it in the chat box. Okay. Sarah, do you have anything?
Yes, thank you very much, Fatma. We have Idris. Idris is joining us from Mombasa, and he says, honestly, Fatma, not yet. I haven't communicated as yet. And then we also have
That's fantastic.
Carol. Yes, and then we have Carol, and she's saying, yes, she has communicated. What has she communicated? Sharing guidelines for navigating COVID. Thank you very much. Over to you, Fatma.
Thank you. Haggai, asante Sarah. Haggai?
Yeah, many thanks, Fatma. So I see Jackie say yes. Didn't mention what she communicated. James Okomal also says yes. I think, Fatma, it will also be useful for them to say whether they communicated the banks, is it the clients or the suppliers, or which stakeholders did they communicate to? But you, Fatma.
Maybe, sorry, Fatma, if you can allow me to interject, also connected to what Haggai has said, we have Carol here. She's saying she has communicated mostly to clients, but she sees the need to communicate to other stakeholders in a more intentional and strategic way. Over to you, Fatma.
Great. So basically, you Mwanabiashara, you're a valued member to all the stakeholders, and everyone has a different concern. We are all concerned, but we are not concerned in the same way. Each one of us is concerned differently. So now let's look at what are the messages, the key messages that we needed to convey, and we will look at how do you communicate to the different stakeholders. These key messages, it's about empathy. Now, when we talk about empathy, it's about telling your audience that you are on the same side as they are. You understand what the pains are and you share with them as well. People need to know that, okay, you are on the same side. For example, we looked at the staff, the employees. They're worried about getting their pay. We need to tell them, okay, you're worried about your pay, so are we. So that means we are together in this. We also need to look at, in our messages, we also need to convey the concern that we are concerned. We are concerned about the situation, and in addition to the concern, is also about we are taking time to think about them, and then it's not just about empathy. It's not just about being concerned. It is also about saying that we are looking for a solution that meets everybody's needs. You want them to succeed as well. You want them to be healthy. You want them to be comfortable. So you are concerned and you are looking for solutions that will meet the concerns of each stakeholder. And the last one is about the actions. So what actions are you, mwanabiashara, mfanyi biashara, what actions are you taking? So you need to describe what are the specific actions that your organization is taking in order to manage this crisis, in order to manage the business, and in order to look at your actions and how your actions are going to take into consideration the concerns of the different stakeholders that you have. We also say that it's about how you say it, not just what you say, but how you say. So this is about A, what you say, 2, how you say it, and then 3, the order in which you are going to communicate all this in a manner that makes them comfortable, in a manner that makes them feel, okay, my company, my employer, my client, because we are all this, my supplier, all these people feel that, yes, you are with them and you are taking care of them as well. So the structure is number 1, recommended structure, and Sarah will put it for you. She has a fantastic acronym. At the end of it, we will give that to you. You need to recognition of the situation. You recognize this is a problem. And then number 2, it is about appreciating the stakeholder, whether it's a staff, whether it's a supplier, whether it's a customer, appreciating that particular stakeholder. And then you put the management of expectations. And this is where, even though we are saying we tell them in a good way, we tell them in a way we'll understand, we don't lie. We have to tell them the truth, but in a way that is understandable. Once we've done that, you also want to explain what is the impact of what is going on to the economy, and then of course your commitment to the public good. That is, what is the organization doing, and then of course it is appreciation for the ongoing support. Now, in fact, there's an acronym which Sarah gave us, and this acronym is RAMICA. RAMICA, and she will tell us, and you need to put that down so that this can also help you when you are communicating with your clients. Now, let's look at what are the points to remember, and of course we'll revisit RAMICA. We will do an exercise on RAMICA so that we see how we can communicate with the different stakeholders. So the main points is, what is the impact to the stakeholder? For example, what is the impact to your client? What is the impact to your customer? But also you are somebody else's customer, so what is the impact to your supplier? And above all, what is the impact to the bank? Because remember, the finances are a very, very big part of what is going on. Whether you are you want a bridge loan, whether you want to reschedule, whether you are having issues meeting your commitments. Normally, people don't like surprises, and above all, banks don't like surprises. So what is the impact? And you need to communicate to them. You also want to look at, to discuss what is the protection for employees as well as your other stakeholders. What would be the changes of your business to your customer? And then what is the time frame for the particular actions that you're taking, so that the different stakeholders knows this is the time frame that you are taking to do A, B, C, D, E. This now will put them to rest, and then they will know. In fact, allow me to share a story, and especially to your customers. Even if you want to temporarily close, that's okay, but you need to tell them. Don't just close na ukae tu. because remember, you will go back to them at some point. So we need to tell them now so that they can also appreciate the position where you are. The story I wanted to share, there was ni mfanyi biashara mwingine, they are doing logistics, clearing and forwarding, and unfortunately right now hakuna ndege zinakuja. Logistics have really been impacted, and he did not do it. So what they did, they decided with another business person to join hands so that they are able to work together. But he forgot to tell his customers. And what did his customers say? Huyu jamaa amefunga, huyu jamaa ameenda. And if I'm a customer, what will I do? I will look for another supplier. I will look for another person who will assist me. And what does that mean for you? It actually means this is a loss of business. Because once a customer goes elsewhere, kumrudisha na kumpata may not be so easy. So now let's look at Ramika in action, and what we want to do in this particular exercise, we want us to identify those key components that we spoke about of effective notification for the stakeholders. We will look at a letter, and I'd like to remind us, this will be given to you once, it will be given to you by the bank. So we will read a letter, and this letter is from Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos is the founder and the CEO of Amazon. Tunaijua Amazon. We normally buy books from them. It's a letter. It's a sample letter that he had written to his employees. And what is we want us to identify what are the main points within this letter. So kindly stay with your Ramika, and then let's see how Ramika is in action. So this letter, he says, "Dear Amazonians, this isn't business as usual, and it's a time of great stress and uncertainty. It's also a moment in time when the work we are doing is most critical. If I were to ask you, just write it yourself. This is recognition of the current situation." So this is the R. We are recognizing that things are not normal. It is not business as usual. So the letter continues. "We've changed our logistics, transportation, supply chain, purchasing, and third-party seller processes to prioritize stocking and delivering essential items like household staples, sanitizers, baby formula, and medical supplies." Remember, originally Amazon was just doing books, but now they've expanded the scope. We are providing a vital service to people everywhere, especially to those like the elderly who are most vulnerable. People are depending on us. Is appreciating the stakeholder. This is appreciation of the stakeholder. So from our Ramika, this is the A. He continues, "I'm not alone in being grateful for the work you're doing. I've received hundreds of emails from customers and seen posts on social media thanking you all. Your efforts are being noticed at the highest levels of government, and President Trump earlier this week thanked this team profusely." So what do you think Jeff Bezos is doing? He's actually appreciating, isn't it? He's appreciating the stakeholders by telling them that your efforts are being noticed. People want to know that they are doing the right thing. People also want to feel good that they have contributed to doing the right thing. So the importance of us appreciating our stakeholders. Across the world, people are feeling the economic effects of this era. And I'm sad to tell you, I predict things are going to get worse before they get better. We are hiring 100,000 new roles, and we are raising wages for our hourly workers who are fulfilling orders and delivering to customers during this period of stress and turmoil. At the same time, other businesses like restaurants, bars, they're being forced to shut their doors. We hope the people who've been laid off from your bars and restaurants will come to work with us until they're able to go back to the jobs that they had. Now, it is about managing the expectations. And I'm sad to tell you, I predict, meaning that, remember we said, it is not what you say, it is how you say it. But the how should not hide anything. You need to tell the truth, you need to say the truth, but it's about how you give it to them so that they understand that things are not normal, things are not the same, and they may get worse before they get better. So the letter continues. Much of the essential work we do cannot be done from home. We've implemented a series of preventive health measures for employees and contractors at our sites around the world. Everything from increasing the frequency and intensity of cleaning to adjusting our practices in fulfillment centers to ensure the recommended social distancing guidelines, we are meeting every day, working to identify additional ways to improve on these measures. So this means that you are explaining the impact on the company. What is the company doing rising to the occasion of COVID? Because remember, if you are supplying other things, especially people who are in food, people who are selling, who are in packaging, people get, for example, if you're doing soap, people want to know, if I use this soap, what will it help me with? If I'm buying groceries from you, if I'm buying fresh produce from you, how do I know that it is safe for me to use? So you are explaining what you are doing as a company and the impact it will have on the company as well as it will have on the customer or the stakeholder. We've placed purchase orders for millions of face masks. We want to give our employees and contractors who cannot work from home, but very few of those orders have been filled. Masks remain in short supply globally and are at this point being directed by government to the highest need facilities like hospitals, clinics. It is easy to understand why the incredible medical providers serving our communities need to be the first in line. I mean, they must be there, okay? When our turn for masks comes, our first priority will be getting them in the hands of our employees and our partners, working together to get essential products to people. So what this means is that I am now looking at commitment to the public good. I'm not only worried about me and my employees, I'm also worried about what is happening out there, because the doctors, the nurses, and those are the people that must be looked at first. And when our turn comes, yes, we will do that. So this is what Jeff Bezos is saying. My own time and thinking is now wholly focused on COVID-19 and how Amazon can best play its role. I want you to know Amazon will continue to do its part, and we will not stop looking for new opportunities to help. What that means is that, again, I am committed to the public good. The company is committed to the public good. He ends the letter by saying, there is no instruction manual for how to feel at a time like this. And I know this causes stress for everyone. My list of worries right now, and I'm sure, like you, long. From my own children, my parents, my family, my friends, to the safety of you, my colleagues, to those who are already very sick, and to the real harm that will be caused by the economic fallout across our country. Please take care of yourselves and your loved ones. I know that we are going to get through this together. He is now he's appreciating the ongoing support that he is getting and the ongoing support he has for his stakeholders. It is to both parties. So the recommended structure, I'd like to put it again, and I can see Sarah has given it to us. Asante, Sarah. It is Ramika. It is It is structured. It is taking people through everything that you're happening. You allay their fears. You take, you understand their concerns and the actions that you are taking in order to tell them about what is going on. But at the same time, it is also about management of expectations. This is important. Why? Because you do not want to give false promises. You do not want to give things that are not quite correct, because remember, they will hold on. They will hold on to that and they will say, you told us this, but you are doing something else. So tell them the truth, but tell them in a way that is easy to understand and in a way that takes care of their fears and their concerns. You may also want to look at follow-on other messages that you may want to give to your employees. Now that we are not working 100%, what will be the rules if they're working remotely? What will be the rules if they're coming on site? For example, I went to a shop and I saw a message that said, please do not enter if you don't have a mask. Period. If you don't have a mask, you don't enter. Please sanitize before you come in. Because some people may think, they may not totally believe that Sina, so worried, I don't have COVID. And we don't know. So you want to also give messages about expectations, about their online availability. If they're working online, what times, how do they engage? What are the preferred communication tools for daily work? How do they report? You want to monitor deliverables and you want to have status checks. And then, of course, because we are online, you also want to look at the privacy of business data when working remotely. It is important. What is within, what is important to the organization must be contained with the organization. You do not want people to be a little bit careless and leave data out there. So this is something that you need to give out. For example, I have seen Caro saying it's also about communicating to my clients and telling them what are the strategic intent that we are doing going forward. And then, of course, the last one is about what will you do should, unlikely, okay, but it's possible that employees become infected. What will you as an employer do, and what will you do to not only that particular staff that is infected, but what about the others that could have been in contact with these particular staff? So in summary, the main messages that we looked at, there are two. Number one, what are the preventive measures that you are taking? And then, of course, what are the changes to customer service, okay, to the customers that you have? Additionally, okay, what do you want to convey to your clients? Could be the changes to the processes that you've put in place. What are the options for submitting questions or suggestions in case they have? In fact, when we were doing the other sessions on adjusting your business plan, and we said, if your people cannot come to you, you can take your business to your clients. And I liked what when Moses told us at the beginning, there'll actually be a session on how do you create that online presence. So these are the things that we need to look at. For the employees, what will be the effect on their pay? We have seen some people are saying 50%, 40% leave without pay. So you need to look at that. What are you going to do about their pay? What are you going to do about their benefits? What is the work safety so that they feel comfortable coming to work? What is the health support that is being given? And of course, what are the changes? When it comes to lenders and investors, or for example, the bank and the financiers, it's about what is the business, what is your risk mitigation plan that you have put in. Okay? We looked at it when we were adjusting the business plan. What are you going to do in mitigating the risks that COVID has brought? So this will change. So what are the changes to your business plan? Because the risk mitigation plan you had earlier may not serve you now. So this has a direct impact on changes to your business plan. So you need to put this in writing. You need to to bring it out. And then once you've written it, you also need to communicate this to the bank, especially when you're looking at bridging, or when you're looking at forbearance, or when you're looking at rescheduling. You need to advise them. Why? Because you need to tell them how they can help you. You see, you need to reach out to people so that people know how they can help you. And here it is about going to your relationship manager and telling your relationship manager, this is what I am going through, but the solutions, don't just go with the problem. The solutions is A, B, C, because they are aware and then they know how they can help you. When it comes to the suppliers, it's about what are the changes to the processes, what would be the impact on orders, and then what would be the payment mode. In the previous session we discussed, would you be able maybe to change how frequently you pay them? Can you renegotiate? Can you get a better deal? How do you pay? So again, you have thought about it, and once you've thought about it, usiamkie tu, communicate and tell them what it is that you want and what it is that you think will be a win-win for both of you. And then to the regulatory bodies as well as the community, what are you doing? And I know last time Co-opBank actually told us as a bank, and I believe they will talk about it again. As a bank, they told us what they are doing to contribute in order to fight this pandemic. We have seen organizations, some of them actually contributing money to the kitty, and we have also seen some of them saying, and I'd like to take example of breweries, when sanitizers immediately went out of stock, they actually joined hands with Amara and they made sanitizers. They used what they had. Now, I'm not saying each one of us, we are SMEs, we are smaller, we may not be able to contribute the millions that the other people have contributed, but contribution and assisting is not about the bigness of what you contribute. It's about the smallness, and it's about your it's about you saying, I'm also here to assist in whichever way that you're able to assist. And this is what the community actually wants to know. Now, let's look at what are the channels that will be appropriate for you to use when you want to, when you are communicating with the stakeholders. Remember, we said each stakeholder has a different concern. Now, this is what we are calling a communication channel continuum. It starts from a very, very low interactivity to a very high interactivity. Of course, at this point in time, newsletters may not necessarily be the right channel that you want to use. And of course, meetings may also not be the right channel that you want to use. But if you are closing, for example, your business, or if you're changing the timings that you are going to operate, just put up a sign and say, we are open from this time to that time, okay? Or we have temporarily closed. Should you need anything, kindly contact this number. It's as simple as that, but it makes your clients feel that, yes, you are concerned about them. We can put communication on our website, we can email clients, we can use our blog, and of course, I have seen the social media being very, very active. We can tell people, we receive messages from Safaricom, we receive messages from Co-opBank, we receive messages from the various stakeholders. We can do the same. We can tell our people, we can tell our stakeholders what it is that we are doing, and so that we show them our professionalism and we show them we are concerned. We are together with them as far as COVID is concerned, and we want to engage with them post-COVID. When to communicate? Now, let me ask you, when do you think is the best time to communicate changes to your stakeholders? Kindly put it in the chat box. When do you think is the best time to communicate changes to your stakeholders? Please put it in the chat box. Okay. Sarah, over to you. What do you have?
Yes, thank you very much, Fatma. When is the best time to communicate? I think they're still trying to write. I can't see anything in the chat box for now. Maybe we can ask Haggai. Over to you, Fatma.
Thank you. Haggai, do you have anything?
Not yet, Fatma. I think they're coming.
Okay, great. Now, the best time to communicate is as early as you can. You do not want to communicate COVID imeisha. Able to communicate now. Now is as good a time as any to tell your stakeholders what it is that you're doing. Let us stand and be counted that we were responsible citizens and we were able to do A, B, C, D, E. How often you should communicate with your stakeholders? This depends on the stakeholder. The only thing I would say, don't send too many messages until they start confusing your stakeholder. No, just, sometimes we say that less is more. Depending on the stakeholder, depending on the need, communicate what the concerns are, but not too many mpaka mtu anachoka. Basically, it means look at the stakeholder and see what it is that they need. Maybe your customers may need more information. Maybe your clients maybe your staff may need more information. Above all, maybe your bank will need more information. It is time for you to get up and talk to those people that are with you as far as your business, yourself. So in conclusion, we have looked at a number of things. We have gone and we have spoken about what we need to do, how we need to do it. Let's recap. Let's look at what we said we were going to do at the beginning of this webinar. We said we wanted to discuss how to identify your stakeholders' concerns in this era. We also discussed and said, how do we create effective communications to the different aspects, to the different stakeholders that you have? Because remember, concerns are different to each stakeholder, and you need to respond to that stakeholder. We also said that let us use appropriate communication channel. Some people, it could be just a WhatsApp. It could just be a message on social media. It could just be even a phone call. And you call and say, hi, good morning, Sarah. How are you? I just wanted to say hello and see, are you safe? And that's it. Lakini, Sarah will remember post-COVID that my supplier, my business partner, my banker actually did communicate with me and they were concerned about well-being. By now, you should be able to determine concerns of your key stakeholders. You should be able to create effective written communications to address the different concerns and then identify the right communication channel that will reach your different stakeholders. At this point in time, I'd like to ask, before I call Moses to take us through, we were told they will take us through what the Co-opBank is doing. Right? What is a key learning that you have acquired in this webinar today? Kindly put it in the chat box. What was the takeaway for you? What was key? What did you get from this? Kindly put it in the chat. Yes, Sarah?
Yes, Fatma, thank you very much. I believe perhaps they're still writing. I can't see anything else in there. I cannot see anything in the chat box for now. So, okay. I can see Peter saying the need to communicate to stakeholders and not only just communicate, but to communicate early enough. Thank you very much, Peter. Over to you, Fatma.
and it's really, really important for us to be able, because with the communication, what are you doing? You are keeping the engagement. You are keeping that line of engagement. Isikatike, you are still maintaining that line of engagement so that post-COVID, you are still together and you are able to work. Do not drop the ball now, because when you drop the ball now, COVID, you have to start again to that relationship. Thank you. Hi, guys.
Fatma? Yes, Fatma. YouTube, we have Njuki saying, my takeaway is Rameka. Caroline.
Yes, Hagai, what are you getting from YouTube?
Thanks, Fatma. So Njuki says, my takeaway is Rameka. Anne Kihoro, communication. Caroline, stakeholder concerns during COVID era. Peter Mwangi says Rameka principles and its application. Evelyn, takeaway is engaging all stakeholders in an empathic manner. Lucas, I have learned about Rameka. Francis, effective communications and timing. Right. Samuel, how to say it and not what you say. Aisha, less more, the need to communicate. Francis, Rameka is very important and timely. Over to you, Fatma.
Thank you very much. And those are spot on. Those are the right things to do, because remember, we do not want to let the ball down, and this relationship must be maintained post-COVID. So what are the next steps? Next step is basically you need to reach an agreement with your management team about the steps that you're going to take, how you are going to write, what you are going to write, and then, of course, write your notification and then publish your notification, write to the different stakeholders that have. Let's look at some useful resources that will be important for us to go through. These are both international, that is the letter from Jeff Bezos, Smart Insights, and then, of course, the Google Business Guidance. They'll give us more, and you can also look at Facebook. It will give you more information, more insight on how you can communicate. And remember, communication is not just for the sake of communication. It's about managing expectations. It is also about telling people you're concerned. And above all, it's about maintaining those relationships. Usizikate, maintain them, because we will need them post-COVID. Having said that, I just want to go through the webinars. We've actually, as far as this series is concerned, we have completed, because we did Surviving Today to Thrive Tomorrow. That was done. We also looked at borrowing during crisis, which was done. We also did adjusting your business plan during crisis. Now, this is the last one, communicating with stakeholders during crisis. But it is not the last, because there's two more. One of them is, how do you create an online presence? Remember, with COVID, people cannot come to you because of curfew, because of cessation of movement. Clients cannot come to you. But what we can do, we can go to the clients. So the two webinars is, one, how do you create an online presence? And then the second one is, how do you market your online duka, your online presence, and how do you get traffic to your online, your virtual shop. This is what is going to happen as far as this is concerned, but there's two more. Co-opBank, thank you, Co-opBank, for giving us this opportunity, and then Co-opBank will advise us when these two webinars are going to be they're going to be effected, so that we can attend. Having said that, allow me now to call upon Bwana Moses Gitau to take us through, and I believe Moses said he will call the economist to take us through the budget. And what we want to do is we want to look, where do we plug in, and where do we get opportunities from the budget that has been given by the Kenya government. Over to you, Bwana Moses. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatma. I think thank you for that for that delivery. We go straight to Anthony Muri, the bank economist. Anthony, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Moses. Thank you, Fatma. Am I audible enough?
Yes, you are.
We can hear you. We can hear you, Anthony.
Okay, Fatma, thanks for your training, especially the fact that we are in this for the long haul. Your training just reminded me of last week's comments by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, that's OECD, one of the key multilateral institutions. And I think what they stated is that COVID-19 pandemic is a marathon and not a sprint, which brings us to your point that as business owners, we need to learn how to coexist with COVID-19. Remember that we have three phases in COVID-19. Phase one is the containment, where most of the countries have been trying to flatten the virus curve. Phase two is where we restart economic activity while still avoiding a second wave of COVID-19. And I think phase three, which is the third phase, which every one of us is longing for, is a phase where we have a vaccine or a treatment. And that means that it will be a phase where we'll be able to reopen all angles of the economy. Having noted that, and especially the training from Fatma, locally what we've seen is that the government fiscal year starts in July, which is in another 5 or 6 days from now. They've already rolled out their fiscal year budget, obviously at the background of the fact that we have a pandemic to deal with, both locally and globally. That means that they're operating from a point of view that they need to allocate scarce resources to multiple needs, and which is also very conversant with us as business owners. I think we are in the same challenge. And looking ahead, we've also seen that this fiscal budget is actually fairly unchanged from the 2019-2020 revised fiscal budget. So the government plans to spend about 3.2 billion. That's 3.2 trillion. That's 13-14 billion. Fairly changed from almost a similar period of 3.2 trillion last year. Just looking at the key issues is that most of that spending is actually fairly unchanged, right from the executive, parliament, judiciary, and the slight change we've seen is on the county allocation, which is going up by about 11%. So I think given that perspective, we can move to the next slide. Fatma, we can go to the next slide.
Go to the next slide.
Yeah. The next after that. So looking at even the ministerial level, we are looking at very negligible changes in terms of what every ministry have been allocated, looking at the previous fiscal year. However, I think it's key to note that the government is still running with a huge fiscal deficit of about 840 billion compared to 842 billion from the last fiscal year. And looking at the liquidity situation in the market, we don't see much challenge in the government borrowing timeframes. And so they should be able to meet that target. However, looking at the overall numbers, the government was projecting a rise of 14% in nominal GDP, which might be unlikely in the current situation. And so we should see, several revisions of this fiscal budget in terms of supplementary budget in the next couple of months. Fatma, we can go on. I think critical for us in this forum is the question of MSMEs, and I think specifically MSMEs in manufacturing, iron and steel manufacturers, to be specific. Most of the imports under iron and steel are actually put on import duty of 35%. So this has been retained for the next fiscal year in a bid to protect this sector from competition from especially Asia on iron and steel. Looking at the textile sector, we've also seen the government do away with import duty, especially for textiles, apparels, and baby diapers. So all the materials used in the textile production will be now duty-free on the importation, just to encourage local manufacturers to produce these commodities locally. Same with the electrical parts and accessories. Actually, the duty has been increased on imports from 25% to 35%. This is just in a bid to protect the local electrical parts and accessories manufacturers. We've also seen focus at the region level, so that's the ESC region, to grant duty remission on all materials and inputs used to manufacture masks, sanitizers, and the PPEs mostly used in the health sector. So moving ahead into the next fiscal year, this will actually be duty-free. And so this will be encouraging news for some of the SMEs that have already ventured into this sector. And given the fact that we are likely to coexist with COVID-19 for some time, then this will be very, very useful to these manufacturers. Looking ahead also, in the next slide, Fatma. We've seen the government also come in to support the SMEs who are in the Juakali sector. And so there's about 500 million, which has been set aside to actually procure locally made beds for the public hospitals. These mostly the Juakali SMEs in the metal industry. Then remember that we have an MSME authority, which is up and running. There has been about 1.4 billion allocated to this authority. Obviously, details about how this will be used are not yet out, and I think it will be good if we all keep a good picture on what evolves from that allocation. And I think also specifically on the special economic zones, which most of us previously know as the EPZs, there's been huge efforts by the government to reboost this sector, especially looking at what has been set up in Naivasha, Kinania leather industry, and also in Athi River, the usual EPZs. So that sector has been allocated about 3.6 billion. This is actually to boost manufacturing in that sector. And remember that it's a very key absorbent of laborers. And so we are looking at more and more people getting employment. A similar case in terms of that focus on textiles. We've seen an additional 843 million being allocated to Rivertex. I'm sure most of us have seen how much Rivertex and also the local textile manufacturers can do, especially regarding the PPEs. Then we've also seen allocation to actually actualize the EPZ, that's the special economic zone in Dongokundu, that's in Mombasa, to also spur growth and the employment in that sector, in that part of the coast region. Fatma, go ahead. On the financial side, I think most of the SMEs have been having challenges regarding how much they can do with the normal or ordinary commercial banks. For some of us, I'm not in that category, but for some of us who are old enough, when the industrial banks were really doing well, that's in the 1980s and 80s, 90s and 80s, where ICDC, IDB, and also the tourism finance corporations were really key in terms of financing the SMEs in that sector. Remember that they have most of these specialized SME banks have a bit more leeway in terms of financing, and they also easily get much of the guarantee from the government. So in terms of pricing and also the tenors, they are much fitted to actually support some of the MSMEs, especially the ones in the industrial sector, because that's also a bit technical. And being a technical sector, you require a technical bank. So the government in this fiscal budget has relooked at that, and what they want to do is they want to merge the Tourism Finance Corporation, IDB, and also ICDC to form one big entity, which sort of understands the industrial growth in terms of long-term financing. The other bit that has also come up is the government has already set aside 3 billion to actually operationalize the National Credit Guarantee Scheme to support SMEs. And so looking ahead also, most of us have noticed the hit COVID-19 has had on the hotel industry. So most of them are expected to take this off season and refurbish some of their units. And so the government has allocated close to 5.5 billion to the Tourism Finance Corporation to actually on-lend some of these hotels for refurbishment, now that they're in a low season period. We've also seen the pension schemes having favored by this budget. The government has set aside regulations to actually create a micro pension scheme to cover the informal sector. And we are looking at RBA in the next couple of months coming into the market to actually roll out this scheme. The other thing is that the MSME authority has been allocated another 712 million to provide to credit MSMEs. And so details will be out, I'm sure, in early July on how this will be allocated. Then I think for us who are in the agriculture value chain, we've seen the issue of farm input being a thorny issue, especially financing of the same. And in the past, you've seen government, allocate funds either for inputs or fertilizer in terms of actual commodities. But this time they are doing e-vouchers, which is a much better system. And so once you get your e-voucher, you can actually buy your fertilizer or farm inputs from whichever agrovet or whichever shop that you deem as a better pricing and also given the location. So there was a bit of much corruption, especially on the fertilizer subsidy and importation. And so given that the government has moved forward in terms of e-vouchers. If we could move ahead, Fatma. Yeah, remember that as SMEs, I think our key focus, even as we do everything, whether it's on products, that's goods and services, key at the back of our mind is usually the consumer demand. I mean, in terms of who will buy this product, who will buy this service. And so that has meant that the government needed to come into play and actually help create some consumer demand. So we've seen several initiatives in that budget to actually create consumer demand. For example, we've seen the local assembly vehicle manufacturers being allocated 600 million. So in a way, if the government purchases an additional 600 million worth of vehicles, then that means more jobs created in that sector, or more jobs held together in that sector, meaning that sector will not lay off employees. We've also seen the Kazi Mtaani program, which is a 10 billion program, aimed to employ about 200,000 youth. Already about 6,000 have started work under this program. And just to keep the youth engaged, and number two, to give them some livelihood. That means that their purchasing power will also be improved. The other thing we've seen is the need to employ an additional 5,000 healthcare workers. That's worth about 1.2 billion. I think the health situation, and even from what we've seen in my earlier comments and Fatma's training, is that COVID-19 will be with us for some time, and I think that need to hire additional health workers was quite timely. The measures we've seen are measures around the education sector. So there is an allocation to hire 5,000 teachers and another 10,000 teaching interns. Obviously, this means that another 5,000, another 10,000, households are given a livelihood. That means that they can actually go ahead and purchase what the MSMEs are either selling or manufacturing. The other thing was also to recruit interns in terms of ICT to that education sector. All this is actually to boost the purchasing power out there. The other thing also in terms of that allocation to keep the youth engaged and also useful to the economy is the 5 billion allocated to rehabilitate access roads and footbridges. So most of this will be done by casual labor to keep the Vijanas engaged and also to give them some livelihood for the next couple of months. So looking ahead, I think what we've seen is there's hope in the sense that the current projections that we are looking at from the market are that the global economy will pick up in 2021. That means that we're looking at a recession only in 2020, which is good hope for us. Locally, what we've seen, especially in the first 2 weeks of June, is that on the exporters, flour exports are up about 70% compared to the same level in June 2019. However, there's still some challenge on freight charges, so they're paying more on freight. Remember that few charter planes and also few cargo planes are landing at JKA, so that means that they're paying much higher cost. But the good news is that they are recovering. 70% recovery is quite good. On the vegetable exporters, talking to the sector lobby groups yesterday, they've indicated that recovery is about 70% export level, although there is a bit of challenge on the freight, but that should be resolved once the charter planes increase or the cargo planes increase. For tea exports, for those of us who are in the tea value chain, I think tea has remained quite resilient. In the last couple of auctions, that's in the last 5 weeks, we've seen about 77% of the packages of tea offered in the Mombasa tea auction actually being sold successfully. So looking at all this and the fact that also Locally, we've seen the Kenya shilling stabilize around 106 to 107, which is good news. Inflation now is quite stable at 5% to 6%. So I think looking ahead, there's hope. And given that hope, I'm sure as a bank, we've been with you both in the thick and the good times, and we'll be there for you. And looking at maybe the next slide, Fatma. So the bank still lays its commitment to the customers for additional funding. We've also been able to do massive restructurings, which is offering you repayment holidays over the last couple of weeks. I think our relationship managers have been in quite constant touch with most of the customers, and we continue to offer support and also information, especially looking at the virtual contact we're having, for example, social media, webinars. And also, you're allowed to, you should feel free to actually give us a call, either at the branch level or at the head office level. Fatma, let's go ahead. And so we continue to be your trusted partner, both at the lending solutions level and also at the payment collections level. Most of you are aware of our various transaction solutions. That's the gold package and the silver package. And also at the bottom, you have the bronze package. And I think at that point, I'll ask our head, who is Moses Gitao, to take up. Thank you.
Asante sana Bwana Muli. That was very, very informative. And as SMEs, we also need to see where the opportunities are so that we can plug in. Bwana Moses, over to you.
Thank you, Fatma. Thank you, Anthony. I think it's quite insightful. I have seen some very good comments in terms of the unpacking of the numbers. And maybe to my customers who are here, the reason we decided to unpack the numbers on the budget is just to give you visibility of the opportunities that are coming in there. And I think Anthony and Fatma said it's a new norm now. And the opportunities that perhaps were not existing in the previous dispensation. And I think it's for you now to look through and take advantage of those opportunities. Key is also to say the support that Muri has highlighted for the MSME customer. And I think as a bank, we are committed to continuously support you. And he has highlighted three issues: additional funding. In case you identify an opportunity there that comes up, you require support, I think we are saying we are ready to support you in terms of funding. And number two is the restructuring or the repayment holidays. I think just to be emphasized, as a bank, you are available to have that discussion. That's why you saw me chatting earlier to ask you, have you communicated to the bank as a key stakeholder? I think that communication will be very important. And we have also, I know as a bank, we have committed, we have reached out to several of you, but it's also important also for you to reach out to the bank to just say how your business is doing, and whatever support that you require, it will be important because your bank is also a key stakeholder in your business. We are also, it's important that we keep communicating. The third one, and I think Muri has said it, is the issue of now relationship management. Please close to your manager, keep close to your branch manager, because that person has a lot of information. Would want them to share that information with you. Even those opportunities that are coming in, the webinars that are coming in, please keep close to that person, the branch manager or the relationship manager. On to our last slide. I think I'll just present on the last slide, Fatma. On to that is on I think call to action, and just to say that Fatma highlighted the other forums that I think will be coming up. We'll be informing you on when they'll be coming up. I think the second issue is we'll be sharing some feedback form that we request you feedback, if you give us feedback in terms of the seminar. And also, please keep talking to your people. Leverage on our payment transactions and solutions to continuously bank and make payments. We want you to have those, to leverage on those solutions that we've given through the accounts that we have. And last is to keep safe. And I think at this juncture, I would want to pick in any question. Anthony, Fatma, I think you should be there also to pick the questions that are coming through. Agai? Agai, any questions?
Not yet, Moses, but I believe they should be coming in a few.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, again, this is Anthony. I can see two questions on the chat. Let me have a look at them, which is from Caroline. She's asking what's the outlook on forex and also on interest rates. So I'll answer those two questions. The outlook on forex. Remember that the forex market is like any other market, driven by forces of supply and demand. So I think what we've seen in the last couple of months, especially since April, is that the FX inflows have been quite low in the sense of tourism, quite almost zero. In the last couple of weeks, that's, I think, from the numbers I've given, we've seen the exports of, horticulture, flowers, and tea has started to recover. So that should cushion our dollar inflows. The other point is that we've also seen in the last couple of days, most of the funding we received externally, especially from the IMF and the World Bank, coming to cushion the FX reserves. So given that buffer currently, we are looking at a bit of stability on the current levels. That's 106 to 107 exchange rate Kenya shillings to the dollar. The issue of lending, the issue of outlook on rates. What I noticed, or what I noted in my earlier presentation, especially on the government agenda in the domestic market, is that they seem to be quite fairly okay to achieve their domestic borrowing in the next fiscal year, and so we won't see a lot of crowding out effect in the domestic market. So interest rates will fairly remain where they are in the next couple of months. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. Sorry, Fatma. I've also seen a question on how to access funds, the government funds that's cited by Anthony, and I think the government has expressed that desire. As a bank, we are saying we are also reaching out to the government just to get into that framework. And once we get into it, I think we'll share with our customers. So far, nothing has been operationalized, and once it comes up, we'll share and advise our customers on how to access the funds. However, as I said earlier, and I think in pursuance to Moody's last statement about interest rates, we are saying that the bank is willing to give additional funding based on the opportunities that come up. So if you have a funding need, please raise it up with your branch manager, with your relationship manager, so that we can be able to address it.
Okay, asante sana Bwana Muli for the highlight, because as an entrepreneur, it actually highlights areas that we can plug in. Thank you, Moses, kutuambia where we can plug in as well. And then, of course, it is important for us to maintain that channel of communication with our relationship managers. There is another question here, but let me just go to Sarah first. Sarah, do you have any questions?
Thank you very much, Fatma. We do have a question here from Joyce Musangi, and she's asking, what about schools? How can we communicate to our clients? What about schools? I think I recall from the last webinar we had where somebody, even the bank, Cooperative Bank was saying, you know, come we talk. But as we have heard from the Cooperative Bank team, the bank is just one stakeholder. And Joyce, I think the message that we're trying to send out to all of us during this time of COVID is your need to be proactive. Be proactive, understand what the concerns of your key stakeholders are, and then try to address them. You know, we're saying that business has changed. It is actually business unusual. And for example, in schools, maybe the kind of communication we were seeing is schools will open on this date. We will break for midterm on these dates. Please ensure that you have paid school fees for your child by this date. But what we're saying is that the COVID is also presenting opportunities for us to, I like what Fatma was saying, stay in touch with your customers. Well, we have seen a few examples where schools have tried to do some virtual learning solutions, and parents have not sometimes taken it very well because they have been affected financially by COVID. But there's still a number of things that you can do once you identify the needs of those customers. The other day, I saw a very beautiful clip which really impressed me. This is a video clip that was prepared by the principal of a school, and he sent it out actually on WhatsApp platforms and so on. And so the message to the stakeholders, I remember him saying, students, how are you, handling the COVID-19? What are some of the things that you are learning? And then he says, when schools open, I'm very, very keen. I'll be very keen to hear what sort of things you have learned during COVID. Also, he talked to the parents, he assured the staff and so on. He talked about some of the investments that they're doing. He showed us the perimeter wall. He said the perimeter wall, while after schools opened, we have constructed this perimeter wall, and he showed us that. He said we have expanded our facilities, the toilets, the washrooms, and so on. So what I would encourage you, Susan, is look for opportunities. In fact, opportunities to still communicate and add value to your stakeholders. For example, one of the things I've been thinking about is, why don't you, for example, take that step, be proactive, maybe to look for a counseling psychiatrist, a psychologist, and get a forum where you can engage with your students, where you can engage with your parents, with your staff, and so on. That could be one way of doing it. Get in touch with them, find out how they are coping, what challenges, just keep the conversation going. Those are some of the ideas that come to mind. Over to you, Fatma.
Hi, Fatma. I have one more question coming through YouTube, and the other one is more or less like a word of encouragement to Moses or to the bank.
Yes.
Royal Mark is saying, we are requesting that this shouldn't end with COVID. The bank should, do more of this as value addition to their clients. So Royal Mark is saying such webinars should not stop with COVID or after COVID. Okay. The other question, or rather one question from Anne Kihoro, she's asking about the e-vouchers for farmers. Do you have any information as to how to acquire them? Over to you, Moses.
Thank you, Haggai. To pick it from where Sarah talked about the schools, I think, let me also say that as a bank, we have a special support package for schools. And I think all our branches, it's in all our branches. For anybody who is here, who is on this call, and any school that you know there that is looking for that for that package, tell them we have a special support package during this period, which is quite attractive for schools. And I think one of the things that we'll be doing maybe in due course is that we'll be also be running such a forum for specifically for school proprietors. I think the second thing is on the issue of the webinars. Thank you for that feedback. And as a bank, you are committed to doing it. And I know for us, you have been doing it actually. It's not even, we didn't start it with COVID. It's only that we've changed the more convenient. We have local forums that we have been running through your branch network. They are basically this kind of webinars, and we'll continue doing both online and even offline based on how the COVID situation comes up. The yes, we are saying as a bank, we will be going to that partnership. We've not yet gotten the operationalization of it, but we are in discussion with the several ministries, the Ministry of Agriculture and those other ministries that are doing it. We are in discussion. Once we get that, once we get a product out there, we should be able to communicate and say how we are doing it. But so I think we only have one program running in Coast specifically. The people in Mombasa, we have a program through Ministry of Agriculture. And what I would say is for those who are there, that's like a pilot for the branches in Kwale and Kilifi. If you are in Kwale and Kilifi, you have a program that you are running under the e-voucher but that was a pilot one that was being run from last year. So what we have is that we should be able to get you people once we have once we get to all the programs for us. But we'll give that information based on how we unpack it through the several government ministries that have been tasked to do that. Thank you, Agai.
Over to you, Fatma.
Okay, thank you, Sana and Moses, and thank you for giving us that highlight and advising us, of course, the opportunities that that are there, especially for schools, for the e-vouchers, and for the different sectors of the economy. I would also like to appreciate Bwana Anthony Muli. I loved giving us in a snapshot the budget and where exactly as business people we can plug in, because these are opportunities that are there, and it's important that we are able to get those opportunities. Above all, I would like to appreciate the customers. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for keeping in touch and communicating with us. Asante Sana IFC, and I'd like to appreciate Sarah, I'd like to appreciate Stella, I'd like to appreciate Haggai for making sure that this webinar has gone on very, very smoothly. I also want to say that this particular webinar is actually about maintaining relationships. It's about maintaining that engagement. People what you're doing, telling people what you want, and remember, business is about relationships. So those connections should not go because of COVID. We need those connections, and we need to keep in touch so that tomorrow we can work with everybody else. Asanteni sana wafanyi biashara, and asanteni sana for the feedback. I can see Carol, you've given us feedback. I have seen Anthony, you've given us feedback, and I'm seeing feedback from a lot of us. Simon, thank you very much. And for the ones who have also not written to us, asanteni sana for being there. Asanteni sana for listening to us, and we look forward to engaging with you once again. As I advised earlier, we have two more. We have two more trainings as far as IFC and Co-op is concerned. One of them is about how are you going to make to have an online presence, and the other one we're going to help you to make sure there's traffic to your online shop. So asanteni sana, na ningependa kusema kwaherini. We have overshot the time by about 4 minutes, lakini asanteni sana. It has been a good session, and now you can leave at your leisure. Thank you.